So a stroke is a sudden loss of function in the body, and the example that most people will be familiar with is suddenly losing power down one side of the body, often in the face on that side, the arm on that side, and the leg on the same side. And this can happen completely out of the blue with no warning. And what's actually happened there is that a blood vessel has suddenly become damaged in the brain. And in most instances, that's a blockage of a blood vessel in the brain. But in a few cases, it's a burst blood vessel in the brain. And either way, the result of that is that the part of the brain that is supplied by that blood vessel suddenly stops working. And that's why the patient suddenly loses that function. Although the example that most people are familiar with is weakness, in fact, strokes can take you in all sorts of ways. Some people will just suddenly lose speech. You can suddenly lose vision to one side. And so any sudden loss of function in the body should alert the person to the possibility that they may be having a stroke. One of the problems is that there's a perception out there that stroke really is a disease of the elderly, but in fact strokes can strike at any age, and although they become more common as you get older, about 20% of them occur under the age of 65, and so we see patients with sudden loss of function at all different ages, and the reason why we're thinking about the issue of PFOs today is that a patent foramen ovale, or PFO, is a cause of stroke in the young. So a PFO, or patent foramen ovale, is a hole, a communication between the two sides of the heart. The right side, which is responsible for pumping blood into the lungs, and the left side that is responsible for pumping blood around the body, including the brain. And the problem here is that a blood clot that can reach the right side of the heart can cross this little channel between the two sides of the heart, get into the left side of the heart, and then be pumped into the brain, where it causes a blockage of a blood vessel. So this is a recognised cause of stroke, can strike at any age. So particularly in patients under the age of 60, when a stroke happens, we investigate the heart to see whether they might have a PFO, and if no other cause for the stroke can be found, the issue will then be, well, can we close the PFO? That's technically possible to do. There's a rather simple procedure for doing it, but it's not currently funded on the NHS.
4th of September 2012, I got up for work, went to work. My speech slurred twice during that day. At the age of 44, I never considered it was a stroke. Put my arms up in the air, joked to my colleague, oh, well, at least it's not a stroke. Went home that evening, went to bed, woke up, and my left side, I couldn't, it felt strange. I couldn't lift my arm. At that point, I did slightly panic, thinking, oh, I think it could be a stroke. Woke my husband up. I didn't tell him about the previous episodes of slurred speech. That morning, the next morning, went to the doctors, was rushed to hospital, put on the stroke ward and told I had had a stroke, which was obviously shocking. It is like living with a ticking time bomb for me and my family. I've been told by my consultant I will have another stroke. Hopefully I won't, but, that's what he said. I will have another stroke. I don't know when that will be. I don't know the severity of it. So it is, it's awful to live with, but you have to live every day as you can. But it is a worrying time for us all.
Well, at the moment, the PFO closure operation is not being currently funded by NHS England. There has been a recent public consultation on this issue by NHS England to look into whether funding should be reinstated, and a final decision is due to be made on that in May. We're hopeful that funding for PFO closure will be reinstated so that people like Marie and people in a similar situation are able to have this operation on the NHS, but a final decision on that is yet to be made. Well, our remit specifically is to help working age and younger stroke survivors. We do this in a number of different ways. Firstly, we have approximately 40 groups up and down the country, based in local communities, They tend to be run and facilitated by stroke survivors or close family members of stroke survivors, and they're a chance for people to get together, to undertake exercise which aids their physical rehabilitation, to go on social events with each other, and really to offer a great deal of support to other stroke survivors. We also have a thriving online support group that's now got more than 4,500 members. Again, that's comprised of stroke survivors and very close family members of stroke survivors. And it's a really good opportunity for people to support each other online, to share ideas and thoughts and coping strategies with each other. We are very much an organisation that is based around stroke survivors supporting other stroke survivors, with a great deal of emphasis placed on peer support.
I suffer with fatigue, weakness of my left side. I have got the use of my arm back, but it's not as it was, but it's the best it can be. I've lost peripheral vision on my left side. I lost my driving licence for 2.5 years, but worked hard to get that back. I only drive short distances now, but I can drive again. And it has had an impact on my life. I have to plan ahead now. If we've got events that I'm to attend, then I have to prepare beforehand, and rest beforehand, rest after. I'm back to work again, so that's a good achievement as well. But it has impacted on myself and my family in lots of ways.
Well, I'd just like to add where people can go for more information. I'd encourage people to visit our website, which is differentstrokes.co.uk, and there people will be able to see about all the different ways that we support stroke survivors, be able to get information if an individual needs support for themselves or a close family member. And also we have a number of stroke survivor stories on our website, so people can hear from people such as Anne-Marie and other stroke survivors in a similar situation, to read about how this issue regarding PFO closure is really impacting on people's lives at the moment.